Welcome everyone to our presentation for today. We are Group Y and our project is called Vinculum. Sunshine is situated in Melbourne and is fast becoming the new heart of the West. The area of focus for the studio is the Sunshine Albion Corridor, which is a cause of great divide in the suburb. Anderson Road and Ballarat Road are the arterial roads that run perpendicular to each other and currently serve as the main routes through the area. Bus and cycling routes are shown but are in need of attention. The main mode of transport is still predominantly cars, and with good reason.
Looking into our tram networks, we will have 2 lines, each positioned to run through the centre of our 2 zones. The buses have been rerouted to better suit our new infrastructure system and to run along all major arterials and roads. This axonometric provides an insight into how our infrastructure networks connect to our site of Sunshine.
Comparing the building heights between the existing and the proposed schemes, we can see that there is predicted for building heights to just about double over time. This change in built form aims to accommodate for the boom Sunshine is expected to face. A 3-dimensional look at the height difference shows how this might be. Studying the demographics of Sunshine, we were able to interpret this and help guide our design decisions later on. The newly defined spatial plan outlines 2 distinct territories, one near the north where Albion Station and the sport facility is, and the other to the south, comprised of Sunshine Station's Arts and Cultural Centre and the University campus.
Our vision visual showcases our 5 main vision statements: culture, sustainability, infrastructure, community, and connection. With those in mind, we also have 3 sub-vision plots that we wish to explore, circulation and zoning being the main 2, whilst the environment being our 3rd preferred option. Moving then into the train station. The project brief for our train station identifies the possible number of users on a daily basis and highlights our main goals of the functionality for the station. The visual shows the placement theory behind our station's wide design. This visual goes through the context surrounding our station and explores the possible elevations for our existing freight lane. Our stations will handle 6 lines in total, split between an east and west wing, which we will use to refer to the 2 sides of the stations. Whilst the Sunbury and Ballarat lines are existing and will simply be raised or lowered, the Melbourne Airport Rail and Regional Rail Link will be new additions among other stations. And moving on to the west wing tracks, which you can see the 3 new tracks we wish to elevate, lower, and amend. So the design and construction strategy visualizes the form and development and construction phasing that could be implemented. This is followed by the structural breakdown of the station's core design on the left, and the elevated pillars and platforms. The elevated platforms provide unique transport modes to and from the platforms, such as incorporating elevators into the pillars themselves. Escalators have been inserted into the station to further increase mobility options. And on the right, the exposed platforms are then covered in a glass facade that provide a 360-degree vista from an elevation. Both the station's west wing and east wing measure at a height of 30 meters above ground level, with a total height of 60 meters when incorporating the underground portion, with a length of over 260 meters. The floor plan of the west wing platform illustrates the elevator and escalator entry points, along with available fire escapes and elevator shafts. The east wing platform adds an additional platform for possible interstate stops, whilst the movement stream visualizes the 2 main movement options to enter and exit the platforms. The service levels on both wings are almost identical in the floor layout. Both share a long stay lounge, communal storage center for all businesses to access, and university partnership stores. However, the West Wing caters to the food culture of Sunshine with a seasonal farmers market that dominates the flexible plaza at the center, whilst the East Wing is more arts-based with an arts exchange located in the central plaza, an art board, and community gallery. The cross-section provides a better view into the service levels. Whilst the ground levels at our station have immense potential due to the abundance of free and unrestricted foot traffic, cyclist parking facilities, much like those at Utrecht Station in the Netherlands, encourage commuters to cycle to the station. This visual illustrates the design process and pressures in designing the space beneath our elevation. Both wings also host underground platforms that provide the 2 Metro line services that our station offers. Here is an overall snapshot of our underground portion for the station on the left. A subterranean overpass above the platforms provides commuters and travelers the chance to shop and explore before emerging above ground. On the right, here is a snapshot of our above ground portion of the station, along with the section set in front of the university. And to conclude the project, a couple of renders.
The brief for Sunshine Uni is one that is driven by our overall vision. The program seeks to not only be a place for students to thrive, but for people from all walks of life to use and feel safe at. The multidisciplinary university looks to cater for people of all interests and aims to provide state-of-the-art facilities to match. This commitment to excellence will build culture throughout the years and future-proof Sunshine as an educational hotspot. The site for Sunshine University is where the current Chaplin Reserve is. It's tucked in between the meeting point of what will be the future elevated rail lines. This strategic position allows it to be within walking distance to the newly designed train stations. The newly developed site brings to it anchor points for the greater Sunshine. The 2 stations that flank the campus create a new space that is destined to bring people in and through Sunshine. When considering the form of the building, the site played a significant role, with the aim of providing a welcoming concave shape to the north side of the building. The form was bent, pinched, and then pulled to create something dynamic that responded to the site. The ground floor consists of the lobby, student admin, dining, lounge spaces, and lecture halls. The library to the right runs the entirety of the building up 6 levels. Level 1 consists of the more technical and crafts spaces among classrooms and offices. Level 2 is where the smallest classrooms among study spaces and lounge spaces. Level 3 is more classrooms, study spaces, and some studio spaces for the design faculty. Level 4 features more lecture halls, classrooms, and student study lounges. Level 5 is where the private offices and staff rooms are located. And lastly, level 6 is more staff rooms, offices, and an open rooftop garden. The exploited axle here shows how the irregular rooms stack and create an interesting internal layout that differs at every level. And the circulation through and around the building is shown through the central corridor at each level. Looking at a section, we can see the relationship to the new Sunshine Station and how the levels of the campus interact. The west elevation shows off the incline of the building towards the library. The east elevation shows off the curtain wall of the library adjacent to the station. The south elevation shows off the pedestrian highways that circulate the building. The north elevation shows off the connecting tunnel that allows people to pass through the building to the station behind. And lastly, some renders. A look at the front of the campus from the adjacent station, the front of the library near the station, the connecting tunnel at the front of the campus and inside the tunnel with the station visible, the bottleneck of the viaducts facing the library and front and center of the campus, and an aerial shot showing both stations. And lastly, a bird's eye view showing just how neatly the campus is tucked between the stations.
So my focus within the Sunshine Corridor was Albion Station, which had the existing Sunbury Metro line going at ground level, but in this proposed design, it is now located 20 meters below ground level. And there's also an elevated railway running above Albion Station, but it will not stop there. It's only the Metro Sunbury line that stops at Albion Station. Next. So this is looking at spatial arrangement and access of my proposed Albion Station. Albion Station has quite a few industrial buildings surrounding it. So I wanted the community within Sunshine to use Albion Station for transport, but also turn it into a big public space where people are constantly able to access and use the area so that it's more lively and has more purpose. Next. I wanted Albion Station to have a close relationship with the heritage listed building in front of the station, which is John Darling and Sunflower Mill. So I wanted Albion Station to also be made out of bricks, have similar colors and similar sort of form. This was showing the development of Albion Station, which will have 4 levels. The first level being the underground Sunbury Metro Line platform, the second level being for transport facilities and areas for entertainment, the third level being an underground car park, and the fourth level being an accessible public space with some food stalls and shops. Next. And lastly, this is showing how I decided that the site is sheltered by these huge brick domes to make the site more inviting for community and travelers and give that sense of public space, and to also create framed views of the John Darling and Sunflower Mill. And these were my plans. Next. So this was the close view of interior. This was looking at the walls of the building and how they were formed by the location of the viaducts of the elevated railway sitting on top of the building for support, and exploring the types of materials used within the building. Next. And this was showing the existing Albion Station box versus the final proposed Albion Station built form. And this is a perspective section showing the levels. Next. Yep, the second section. And this was showing my accident metric, showing all the levels within the building. Yep, next. And these were some renders of Albion Station.
Right, so looking into our arts and our cultural district, I had 3 main intentions. 1, to give an entertainment space back to Sunshine, to connect the community through art, and to promote a sense of sustainability and longevity in the community. The 5 disciplines that I selected to present and created my building around were education, viewing, working, rehearsing, and performing. My arts district is located within the southern end of Sunshine, and it is located underneath the elevated rail, posing some design decisions to be cautious around height because it is located underneath that elevated rail. The road connections are primarily existing, however, Theatre Drive has been created north to my site to provide access to our loading dock behind our theatre. Looking into pedestrian access, people are free to move around as they would like, however, the red lines will be the defined movement networks and our footpaths. Public transport is easily accessible with buses and stops available at either side, and a tram line available for access towards the east of my building. Looking at my ground floor plans, we can see how the train lines cut over my building. With consideration to viaduct placement, those being placed against or within the walls wherever I could possibly place them. There is an outdoor amphitheatre space allowing for outdoor activities and performances to take place. The theatre, located on the left-hand side of my project, seats 1,600 people across 3 different levels. I've decided to place the theatre furthest from the train line within the studio spaces, and that is just to help minimise noise. So within the ground floor, we can see there are studio spaces, offices, recording studios, and lecture rooms all located underneath that train line. The mezzanine floor on the right-hand side includes the exclusive theatre floor, that being the dress circle, as well as extra backstage room for performers to access. The second and final floor is much quieter and less chaotic, with 3rd floor theatre access, offices, classrooms, and a large function space available for rent and for use. So if we look into the foyer and the entryway, we can see how the high ceilings and the large spaces have created quite a grand feeling, and they've enabled people to walk through, feel quite luxurious and really enjoy the space for what it is. The theatre and the backstage areas on the left provide us an insight into the theatre and how the ceilings again create a grand feeling. The train line in the background allows us to see how I've been able to minimise their closeness and reduce any excess noise impacts. This snapshot of the inner gallery again lets us see how those high ceilings create a really luxurious and grand feeling. And then that also helps to provide ample lighting to display the artwork of local artists within our gallery space. So the biggest issue from the start for me was going to be reducing the train noise inside my building. So as we can see on the render on the left-hand side, the train lines run directly over my building and directly perpendicular to it. So on the right-hand side, we can see that I've used angled panels to assist in creating a sound deterring facade. The sound is also coming from above here, and that's why those panels have been angled downward to help deflect the sound away as much as possible. And finally, looking into my sound deterring techniques, we can see the AXO and the plan view of how I've created my walls to further help the acoustics of my building. So I've used a gypsum board and a double room technique. So we have our exterior walls with the gypsum board in between, and then our interior walls, and that is creating something very, very similar to a double facade, but it's just soundproofing and making sure that we don't have any disruptions within our theatre, within our classrooms and our rehearsal spaces. So a view into the theatre foyer and the bar on the right-hand side, we can see that render. We then have a view into the entry space, and our amphitheatre looking out into the local streets. We have a view into the gallery on the right-hand side and the foyer for the gallery. And lastly, two exterior views showing the amphitheatre, the cladding on the building, and then those panels on the left-hand side, which have been used around the back of the building, and of course the train lines running directly over the top of my building. Thank you.